Hello? Yeah. Thank you. So, first of all, just to drive this discussion, first I would like to thank Quantic India for providing us an opportunity where we can discuss the most relevant topic of this era, which is the emergence of AI. So, emergence of AI is one thing, but in taking that uh, emergence of AI into our decision making, adopting into our uh, industry setup, that requires the collaboration between different teams. And that's why this discussion is very important, because here we have the speakers coming from different verticals of industry, having expertise in different dimensions of the industry. So they will bring their experiences and help you understand that how they are collaborating across team in adopting the latest developments in AI. So for me, AI is a kind of, because I am a statistician, and I see AI just like, matrices which are dynamic in nature, transforming the tensors, and then forming some sort of decision at the end of the conversation. If you'll ask a computer scientist, he will say it's a something high-end algorithm running on a really expensive chip. But if you talk to a layman, my parents, they say AI is something which is counting number of people taking holy dip in Kumbh. So for different people, AI has different perspective, and that is a kind of something as relevant as the digital revolution. It is touching every aspects of the life. That's why understanding that how companies are adopting AI, how different teams within the companies collaborating, what are their challenges, how they are bridging those challenges, how they are making those things work on the ground, that is going to be the core theme of this discussion. So here we have kind of 8 questions, and those questions can be summarized into 4 different parts. So one is cross-functional collaboration, then we have questions related to governance, then what are the challenges related to adoption, and ultimately we are going to assess the impact of AI adoption in decision making. So to initiate the conversation, first I will take you through the questions. Those questions are 8 questions. I will take you through one by one. So first first I will go through the question that when we see that in while adopting the AI, there are a cross-functional team. They have different roles, and then when they are working those things, there are certain barriers which they need to overcome. So to overcome those barriers, the companies and thought leaders, they are taking different strategies. And in this endeavor, that I will ask Kulbhooshan that what is one bold move the organization which can take to take down those bridges to adopt the cross-functional collaboration while adopting AI project.
Thank you for the question. So a bold move, first I'll talk about the AI space. It's getting very cluttered. The AI space is getting very cluttered at this point of time, and AI projects are very complex. There are a lot of different teams involved in making that project successful. Now what happens is, you don't respect each other. I mean, IT teams don't respect data science don't respect data team. And that keeps happening within the organization because they don't understand the perspectives, because the models are technical, but the business problem is a business problem. It involves different things to be solved. So what happens is the communication is a problem. So the boldest move which an organization needs to take is to drive an empathy-driven culture. Unless there is an empathy, you don't understand others' point of view, it becomes very difficult for you to understand what he is trying to convey. Sometimes maybe he not be conveying the right message, but you have to empathize with him, saying he might not know this, and give him a benefit of doubt that eventually he will learn. And once an organization start having that empathy within the organization, within the team, within the members working on a project collectively, trying to solve a complex business problem, then the communication becomes easier, and then you try to work as a single team, and then you try to solve a problem. And then the problem gets solved easily, because then you understand each other's perspective. And as I said, it's a very complex field, and a lot of people are involved in making that project successful. And we cannot say one person or the other person is more important. Everyone is important. And once you start empathizing with them, and to empathize, I think it has to be driven through leadership team. Because I cannot drive unless I am a leader. So the CEOs of the organization, CX of the organization have to understand to drive that empathy culture within an organization, maybe make it as a core value of the team. Sometimes in future, maybe there could be an expert called as AI empathizer officer who would help to collate all, to get all the teams in a single page. Maybe they have collective objectives to solve a problem, or maybe they can drive through a lot of trainings. Maybe HR of the organization, we tend to say they don't work much. Maybe they can take this initiative and make sure that there is a lot of empathy driven through the organization. And that's the bold move an organization can take through. That's my take.
What is the bold move for you, Nishant?
Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. So I agree with him that empathy is important. And so the bold move, apart from empathy, I think what is important, and that should come from the top, from the board and the CEO, is so there needs to be a proper goal setting. And the goal setting has to be not just for the team working in AI, but it should be for all the teams within the organization. And I think now, since AI, data, and analytics is the biggest transformative theme, in the recent past. Like earlier, there used to be tech, like as a big disruptive theme in the 2000, and then digital was a theme, as like Kamlesh said, and the goals were set, for every team, to have a part of your goal is being digitized or being tech driven, and hence now the time has come, for every business head, to have a goal for AI. Whether you're a compliance head, you're a finance head, you're a marketing head. Unless every division head like has a goal for AI, it will not work. Like in an organization, like it is not just the AI team like having a goal, but the rest of the organizations, if they don't have it set at the beginning of the year, you will end up doing POCs, but like things will not move from your POC to POC to production, and hence if you recognize AI and data as a transformative theme, then as a CEO, like as a board, you need to ensure that all parts of your organizations are aligned, and then at least one goal item is there in their goals.
Thanks, Nishant. So, since the bold move is required, there must be some challenge. And next question is related to that challenge. That what is the biggest challenge which is stopping the AI leaders to work in sync with each other? So I will request my colleague Rohit to take up this question. Over to you, Rohit.
Hello. Yeah. I think one of the interesting points that were highlighted in both of the responses thus far is the fact that it is difficult for AI teams to essentially convey their value before they have started any project, because you have to make promises which are difficult to keep unless there is a lot of collaboration across the organization. One of the things that has worked for us, especially because we are in the financial services space, and that is one of the space which is considered to be ripe for disruption with AI, because there's a lot of content, a lot of data that needs to be, digested in order to deliver services. This is supposed to be one of the best spaces for AI to actually make a large impact. We have found that even with the CEO's blessing, it becomes a little difficult, because businesses who have run a certain way over a certain period of time, they find it very difficult when we come and tell them that, we need to make change, we need to introduce transformation. And especially with, I think, forward-looking outlook being a little cooler in terms of markets and stuff, it becomes very difficult to convince them also, because these are all investments which may or may not bear immediate fruit. So from our perspective, to overcome such challenges, it's more about delivering value at a smaller scale, choose low-hanging fruits, non-proprietary data kind of use cases, and try to solve for that and deliver something to the business so that they get a sense of, okay, these are the kind of challenges that I can throw at AI. because it's difficult for the business users also to talk the same language as AI team, because they are used to, okay, I need to do sales, I need to do relationship management with customers, I need to build products. These are all things that are easy for them. But if you go and just have the example of something like a chatbot and say, okay, now tell us how you can use this for your business, it becomes difficult for them to identify. And our job as an AI team over there is to tell them that it's not just chatbots. There are multiple ways in which you can use. So there is machine learning which can be adopted. You can get things like, customer lifetime value. You can identify churn. These are all traditional use cases which are easily solvable. But these are all things that businesses are not necessarily aligned with. So I think the most important challenge is the fact that to get the business users aligned with what is the capability of AI, and then trying to figure out how to deliver those problems and solutions in a quick and efficient manner.
Thank you, Rohit. So, Rohit, after Rohit, Soham, do you have a take on this?
Hello. Thanks, Kamlesh. Yeah, definitely. I just want to add, the same point here. So, first one is the challenge, number one, and number two, how we can overcome this challenge and how we can just collaborate with the business and see the result. So I will take an example since I'm part of BFSI industry. So let's say there are different phases, right? AI definitely is a what, but definitely AI has different interpretation at different, life cycle. If we consider it as a customer life cycle also, definitely AI can play a very significant role. Now, first point is we have to come up with some P&L impact. If we can prove it as a practitioner, because we have to be the bridge of that particular practice, and if we can at least showcase with the number to business team and the leadership team, and definitely it will be helpful. For example, I'm just giving example. Let's say we give money to 200 or 300 people. Now, let's say there are three parts into this. First one is to just get back the money. And second one is whether we can cross-sell any other product to those kind of customer or not. First, in BFSI industry also, there are different part. The one is the underwriting part. The challenge, why AI is challenging at that first phase, because at present, interpretation of AI model, and this is, kind of black box in few cases. But at the same time, instead of underwriting part, the other part is also there, the engagement part, then the collection part, etc. That definitely we can, leverage the AI. For example, let's say out of 200 or 300 set of customers, let's say we know that 80% customers are, really less risky customer. So definitely using some ML model and using some maybe AI chatbot, which you mentioned earlier, and we can reduce the cost, and that is doable. Even, slowly also in industry, we are evolving into that. You may find that if you took some product or something, maybe you are receiving from some customer, some financial organization, and they are sending the, just automated voicemail. Okay, why they are sending? Because you are less risky customer. Okay, if you have high propensity to be default, definitely, chatbot definitely will call you, but the thing is there will be some human interaction also. So this is how it's evolving. Just one word. So definitely it should come up with some P&L impact. So if we can just create that, it will add to definitely value to the company and the business also. Over to you, Kamlesh.
Okay, thanks, Soham. So far, we have talked about the challenges, but when we look up that sometimes, when it comes to decision making, there's some really high stake involved. And when it comes to the question between man and machine, or for example, here we can say AI, that how we can draw the line that where we should rely on the human decisions, where should just follow what our AI engine says, and how to decide that particular line, that in this scenario, especially where your high stake question is involved. So I am just asking my colleague Hardik to help us to understand this thing, that how we can deal with those kind of scenarios.
Sure. Thanks, Kamlesh. Hi, everyone. Now, I come from a very different industry. A lot of you here are from core analytics or banking, financial kind of institutions. I come from an FMCG background, right? At the end of the day, we sell a chocolate of 20 rupees, 30 rupees, a biscuit packet of 100 rupees probably, right? And so the use of AI becomes very, very different. The context is very different when we want to use it and how we use it actually, right? And I'm a little old school, so pardon me for that. But I want to take a step back and let's first look at what is AI and where it is used, right? So in industries like ours, in terms of analytics, it is used a lot in terms of business reporting, in terms of trend spotting, in terms of forecasting, how I can actually use some forecasting methods using AI. But as I said, in our industry, the data is very limited at times. AI is as good as you give the input to it, right? AI is what? It is learning from the past history, it is learning from everything else. So I think first thing that we need to identify is, if I want to use AI, how good input mechanism I do have, right? How good my input data is. And that will actually define whether I should use AI here or actually I still need human intervention. Is it scalable? That's another thing that we need to look at, right? Is it something where I will be able to scale and use it widely across the organization, across the globe, right? So we play in 150 countries, and whether I will be able to use it across, right? If not, then is it really useful? Because while AI is very, very cost effective to use, it is at the same time expensive to build for the first time, right? Is it a right ROI for our stakes is something that also we need to take care of. I was reading some article somewhere, and I don't remember the publishing exactly, but what it said was an average employee or an average human spends around 18% of their time in making inefficient decisions or ineffective decisions, right? Now, where does this come from? A lot of repetitive tasks, a lot of mundane tasks. That is where I would start to use AI, right? In the industries where, this is a standardized task. I don't really need to, quote unquote, put a lot of brains into that. It is more about step A, B, C, D, E. And why I'm saying this, it is true today. It might not be true tomorrow. Tomorrow it will be much more advanced. It is learning every day, right? The best part of AI is always at the worst stage today because it is going to be better tomorrow, right? I always look at it that way. So today AI is in worst stage of AI ever can be because it will be better tomorrow. It's not going to go bad from now. So we need to understand that, and that's where we decide, okay, how bigger stakes are there. For instance, a data input saying, hey, people are eating chocolates in the morning, and that means you should sell chocolates in the morning. This comes from a data. And that is how AI will tell me. Without a human intervention, I might go and say, okay, how do I now start marketing my chocolates for in morning occasion? And suddenly I realize, no guys, people are not really eating chocolates in the morning. It is later before the lunch, or maybe it is because that was the only thing available around them when they were feeling a little hungry or a little craving. It is not the main occasion for that, right? That's something is only human can bring in, at least at this point in time. Once the AI keeps learning, it will be different. So we need to realize a lot of these things to really ensure AI to be used in currently, at least not very high-stake games, more on a repetitive aspects of it, right? If we actually if we take that 18% of the time that I was talking about an employee or a team member, right? And divide their work into different tasks and try to align and see, okay, which of these tasks can be done by machine and which of these tasks should be done by human, I think we can win there. And then that remaining task become their new job description. So again, a lot of people talked about it in the previous panel as well, that AI can take away jobs. I see it very differently. I see AI as something which is enabling people and not really to take away their jobs, right? We should start looking at AI as IA. What I mean by IA is intelligence augmentation. when you put in right human intervention and augment that with the AI, that is where the best thing can happen, and organization can start to bridge the gaps and meet more challenging market conditions. So I would say human intervention is still going to be there, and it is required, and required a lot more now versus ever, I would say.
Thank you, Hardik. So human intervention. That reminds me, like, when you look up a company, like, it has kind of technical team and business team. Technical team is more care about the technical elegance. On the other hand, the business team is more care about, like, how much money they are making out of it. So when you look up, like, on delivering a successful project, these two have to collaborate. So what are those skills which is required to make a collaboration between these two teams to pull out a successful AI project? Over to you again, Hardik.
Well, thanks. I'll try to make it brief. And again, let's go simple. First skill required is soft skills. People need to understand empathy, emotional intelligence. Change management will be a key for organizations, right? Because things will change, the ways of working will change. The work might still be the same, but the ways of working will change. So organizations will have to understand that. I have a question for all of you, right? How many of you use private cab services or a lot of online shopping and online food ordering apps? All of you probably, yeah? And have you ever faced any issue in either your delivery or in your cab booking and tried to use their chatbots? And how many times you were frustrated? A lot? Yeah? And that's where, organizations need to learn and the teams needs to come together, because their technical team who is building that probably is not as close to the business teams who are really close to the questions, right? I have experiences like that, right? I have booked something, and I'll not take the name, right? But I have booked a cab, book any, they allotted me the top level of the car and charged me for that. The driver cancels, and the new cab allotted is the lowest of the pack. The charge doesn't change, and there is no option for us to write in there our query, or there is no option to reach out to anybody, and that gets frustrating, right? And why this happens? Because your technical team who is building these probably is not as close to the actual business team or the in-market teams who are actually facing this or who are meeting the customers or consumers, right? So teams need to collaborate there, right? The key skills that businesses will have to work on is, the culture of innovation. Businesses will have to, be open to fail and learn from that. Hyper personalization, right? Personalization at scale, as we call it in our FMCG world, is required. Everyone of you are very much aware of Gen AI. You are using that in your everyday lives, and your expectations will be much more personalization, right? So personalization at scale is pretty much required, but at the same time, you will also have to have empathy at scale. And what do I mean by empathy at scale is this personalization will make you consumer-centric versus the brand-centric, but empathy at scale will make you this consumer-centric approach based on the consumer insight, right? So an example that we did, right? So we launched, we had an ad campaign where we said 3-4 years ago, where we said, if you own a business, you can actually promote your business through Shah Rukh Khan, right? And we used AI there, and we said, my Shah Rukh ad, and it really worked for a lot of businesses at that time. Same with, we recently did something with birthday campaigns, right? If you are buying a Cadbury celebrations pack for somebody to gift, you can actually put in some details, and that will create a birthday song very much customized for that person. Now that's a good use of AI and good intervention between the teams and at the business, and at the same time teams at the technical aspect. And I feel that will be required a lot more in the coming times. So yeah, those are my views on that.
Thanks, Hardik. So now I will ask Jay, because he has experience of working with the teams that is coming with some sort of impression that AI is genie that can transform anything. So how do you align the skills between your clients and you as a technology partner?
Yeah, I think some of the points which Hardik touched upon, right? You can do good AI if you have a good data, right? So one is, if you see from the technical standpoint, translation of the business requirements into the proper technical solution. Maybe probably that's underrated skill, I would say, but it's highly required. As you mentioned about the chatbot and couple of examples, okay, that what is the actual business process, and if you see from the end user standpoint, what's the struggle once the chatbot is giving a very intermediate or very different kind of answers, right? That's the first point. Second, if you see from the business standpoint, key skills, and I always say, use that word is literacy, right? Data and AI literacy, right? Every business user has to understand what AI can do, what AI can't do it, right? Even a simple automation for the business will work as like a AI or generative AI, right? So, and there are a lot of, you can say in this machine learning, AI, generative AI, there are a lot of words are there. The business has to understand what is machine learning, at least basic stuff, right? So that's from the literacy standpoint. Second, and because in the Gen AI parlance, if you see, everyone is right now POCs and MVPs and what are the stuff, at least from the mindset standpoint, how can we make it a scalable solution, right? From from the personalized, from the POC to the probably on the scaling side. So those are the some of the skills I think very much required to set up that and bridging the gap between technical and business team standpoint.
Thanks, Chair. So this brings me to the question, like learning by doing is the way of life. Like suppose if it comes to Rubik Cube and you want to like, just like, how to solve the Rubik Cube puzzle, you do every time you fail. But like doing certain things in business, sometime may be costly. So I want to bring Kulbhooshan to just give us some sort of, that how we can like, develop a kind of, culture that learn, fail fast and learn faster. That how that culture should be cultivated within the team.
That's a most pertinent question today, as of today, and it's been in the past, earlier as well. So organizations traditionally who had courage to experiment have successfully able to implement it. We need to understand that first. We need to understand AI has always been a driver, enabler, and you can say as a utility. It's always a toolbox for a person to make sure that their life becomes easier. We need to establish that fact in an organization first. Everybody knows that most of the AI projects are a failure. But we need to categorize it, what kind of failure. Failure can be we are not able to deliver. Maybe the data was not available. Maybe there was not feasible solution to be delivered. Maybe it was developed with a very high accuracy, but there was no adoption in the business, is still a failure. So we need to understand that first, what kind of failure we are talking about. We need to define the failure as a word. What is failure? And the experimentation usually comes from a confidence from the leadership team that I will spend money on you and you will deliver something for me or you will not deliver it for me. But we as an organization have to understand when it's a collaborative effort across all different business teams, we need to establish a common goal across the people. Because everybody is onboarded onto it when there is a common goal attached to this problem statement, which we are trying to solve through AI. You have multiple use cases to be solved at this point of time. First, we need to identify which are the prior use cases which I need to solve. And very important question and very important thing we need to keep in mind that how do we build confidence so that the leadership team allows you to fail and experiment. So first thing is you need to identify low-hanging fruits in an organization during the prioritization which can be solved easily through AI. Then you have success stories, then people have some confidence, okay, they were able to solve one problem, I have faith in them, I will give him a complex problem now, would they be able to solve? And again, as a leader, you or an AI expert or an AI leader or an organization leader, you need to identify what are the KPIs I need to define to make sure this problem statement or the problem I'm trying to solve, what is the KPIs attached to it and what is the success metric. And we try to chase it collaboratively with all the team members across the organization who are working on that project or that digital transformation maybe. First is understand when we failed, why did we fail? So the learnings have to be there. If you are not able to note down the learnings, what did I learn? Even if you try something, you fail a lot of times, you need to understand what are the learnings from my failure. Can I use it to my advantage in the next iteration? Yes, that is a tick box. Second, how do I make sure that even if I failed, portion of it is a success story. How do I categorize that separately? Oh, this is a success story. I can just take it down, agree across all the stakeholders. We were able to succeed in this part of session. And we have to experiment a lot of things to fail. If you don't experiment, if you don't try, you will obviously not succeed. So there is a first step. Unless you take the first step, you will not know whether you can walk or you cannot walk. So you have to build a confidence. And how do you build confidence? There are small, small pieces or problem statements you need to identify first, prioritize first. And end of the day, what do we look at? In the previous section of the day, what do we look at when you try to solve an AI problem? First is revenue generation, cost savings, or operation efficiency. These are the three metrics we try to solve. If we are able to categorize all your KPIs in one of the three metrics, which we collectively drive through, we can identify a success stories even in the failure. Because every failure is a next step for the successful adoption. So identify those and create an environment, a collaborative environment where failure is fine. If you don't fail, sometimes as people is taking, oh, they were not able to deliver a solution, let's not work with them. But that's not true. The failure will help you understand. Even in failure, you need to you understand, okay, the data was not available. Well, that's a success story. I know I don't have data available at this point of time. How do I make sure that data is available? So you add your learnings to it, and then you try to solve the problems, also have some success stories. Because if you are always failing, people will have not confidence in you. So just try to scope those problems very small and narrow, or where you can find chunks of, okay, big problems broken down into smaller things. These are the successful. There is 2 successful, 8 failures. People will agree to it. Okay, we were able to try at least some part of the solution. That's my take.
So, so far what we have observed, that success is a prerequisite for fostering this AI transformation. But to identify that how you should quantify the success criteria itself, that how it is helping in terms of helping the productivity, creativity, and decision making, how to develop those sort of measures to define that success criteria. For that, I will involve Soham. And can you just help us understand that how to develop these sort of criteria to define the success story of the AI transformation?
Yeah, Kamlesh, thanks for the question. Yeah, definitely. In this particular revolution, AI revolution, definitely success metric will be different across different industries, right? But I can think about 2 basic, KPI, which is revenue generation, incremental revenue generation, and cost reduction. Okay, so this, this will be the basic primary key for any kind of next level. Okay. So, for example, another point adding to this question, and there should be at least 10% or 15% research and innovation should be there in AI or technology or maybe analytics unit, and we have to cultivate that. And in order to create the success metric, because since we don't have any proper standardized metric, for example, I can give one example. Let's say for underwriting scorecard in Indian lending industry, if the performance of the scorecard around 30, 32, then as a practitioner, we say it's okay. So we just give the, just green signal, even we get the green signal from everybody, right? So from the practice, now why 30, 32, the Gini KPI is coming as a standard? Because we are also practicing for maybe 2 decades, 3 decades, and we found that this number, close to this number, may give you a good result for at least 2 years. Now, in order to create the AI KPI also, we just need to create all these standard using rigorous mathematics, using rigorous practice, and that 10% to 15% research and innovation KRA should take care of that particular stuff. I just can give example in our industry, in overseas market, advanced market like Philippines, etc. So, for example, if you want to take any kind of secured asset loan, for example, where the collateral is there, they will just give fund based on your LTV, loan to value. Of course, if the price is 100 rupees of your property, probably they will give you 70 rupees or 60 rupees. So definitely, now the question comes to, if now how 100 rupees is determined based on the market price, etc. So human intervention is there for this kind of large ticket or this kind of secured asset. Now how AI can help? So the thing is, few scientists also, just trying to, capture the image of the property without any, regulatory, disorder, and just as trying to create the, the property quality index, okay, based on this image data. Now the question is, are they using it? Answer is no, because this index still can be developed and can be monitored whether, my index maybe out of 10 to 1 scale, okay, if is really working, with our eligibility, the, blending amount eligibility, etc. So the thing is, my point is, in one hand, definitely we have to, continue the practice so far what we are doing, and the other hand, we have to, parallelly dry run the product which is built by the AI tool. It can be drone data, it can be anything, and just we have to closely monitor this, and maybe after strong finding, or maybe the strong research, probably will be able to get this kind of cut off, or the the data point, and that will be the practice. So over to you, Kamlesh.
Thanks. So Jack, could you please quickly summarize that? How do you see the success criteria of AI transformation?
So I think in previous, Rohit did speak about the value, right? It's today the business people is asking what's the value that you are generating from AI generated. Though these are very cool stuff, Gen AI, but what value that you are creating, right? And Soham did spoke about the couple of incrementals revenue. Second is cost part. But apart from that, there are a couple of other, let's say, process efficiency or the productivity standpoint, what you are bringing. And fourth is anything what you do, whether is my customer satisfaction is getting improved, right? Now the matrix can be NPS score, net promoter score, or maybe some of the, based on the use case it varies. But today the ROI and value is becoming a more and more word, or maybe the tougher questions which is getting asked in all AI solution implementation for all the leaders. So it's extremely, I would say, for all the leaders to set up a matrix so that there is a justification can be given. And if you show the upfront ROI to any business, where I don't think they are hesitate to put the investments on AI, right? Today there is a fear because it has not gone into the maturity cycle of AI and generative AI. Today, if you see, which I always say, who are making the money of Gen AI? All these tech players likes of OpenAI, Google, okay, by launching the new models and ensuring that you pay the token cost, right? Okay, that's why they are making the money, right? And that is the fear. Set up the matrices based on the use cases so that you can justify the ROI, and it becomes a more value selling rather than a technology selling to the business users.
Thanks, Chair. So Arnab, just I want to involve you in a conversation related to biases. So biases of AI models are it's a well-known and there are a lot of publication around that. But how that particular thing is impacting the collaboration across the teams, and how you can build the trust across the teams so they can go ahead in the transformation process related to AI journey of any of the project.
Okay. So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. I will not talk about jargons. I will not talk about my thought process. But what I'll do is I'll take an example of a hypothetical board meeting. Okay. Now let's take an example. A board meeting is happening. So we have a CEO at the CXO levels. We have the marketing team there. The finance team doesn't like the marketing team, so they are sitting on the opposite side. We have the IT team, the product team, the customer service team, the data team, all of them together. Now, the marketing team would come up and say, we have implemented about 200 AI models, which is being powered by the data team. So we are happy, we have driven the numbers that we were looking for. So organizational objective is achieved. Now the complexity comes. Imagine of a super app where you have got different categories, right? You've got grocery, you have electronics, you've got fashion, you've got health, so on and so forth. So one of the category would come up, especially say a hotel or a flight. They would come up and say, we are under-indexed, while fashion and grocery or health is over-indexed. So there's a biasness in the AI model. That's where the topic starts. Okay. No, obviously, then the marketing team, along with being the friend with data team, they will come up and say, no, it's actually not that same case. It depends on the seasonality, it depends on the buying pattern. So we have got the home page, we have got individual SLB pages, which is where we do personalization. That's where we do indexing, over indexing based on the user behavior, right? So while we try to kind of sort this out, the subcategory team will come up and say, you know what? While you're saying that yes, fashion is over-indexed, but I don't believe it because women as a section is under-indexed, and you're over-indexing on shoes, which is led by men. So biasness in a business will exist. We have to understand that. I'll take in a phrase. See, data is everywhere today, right? And it's like a seawater. It's like water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. So we have to take judicious decision of how do we use the data, how do we minimize biases, and at the end of it, it is adhering the company's policy and the organization goal at the end of it.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Arnab. So, coming to the last question. So, last question related to that concerns everybody. That when we are going through the AI transformation, are we supposed to how we can mediate the kind of effort that the team is taking to undergo that transition? Are we supposed to teach everyone those transformers, those structures, or rather how we can develop as a leader about that smooth transition without making them really hard to understand the intricacies of AI while leveraging the the advantage of AI? I will give mic to Rohit to light some put some light on this particular thing.
So I think the interesting part that we have gone through, because we have been doing this for about a year now in the firm, only right now we have found our own technology teams being very interested to know how all of this works. So while the team was set up a year ago, technology themselves were not very keen to know more about, okay, what do you guys actually do? What are the use cases you have implemented? How does all of this work? But now that it's become an inevitability that everybody has to know a little bit, at least working knowledge wise, we have found that there's a lot of interest coming from multiple corners of the organization, whether it is from technology side, product, business, sales. Everybody, including the enterprise teams, are coming and saying, ki, we want to know more. So we have been able to do certain training programs where, depending on the nature of the audience, we are focused on different areas. So when it comes to business, product guys, we are talking more in terms of ideas or use cases that have been successfully implemented outside, which you can adopt here. When it comes to technology teams, we even show them working implementations. Okay, how do we go about implementing a simple, let's say an ML workflow? What do we need to do? What is the process like? We'll open up Jupyter notebooks, we'll show them the entire flow. But ultimately, what has worked over here is that we have a few small wins under our belt. We have done few use cases which have not required any proprietary data of the firm. And that is what we are able to cite as examples, saying it's already happened. And then FOMO kicks in and everybody wants to get involved. Because I think a very interesting thing that was told to us in one of the forums, and this was, I think, told by the board members only, is that, look, if you don't invest in AI, there will be some other company smaller than you who has to invest in AI in order to survive, and then they will outpace you at some point. So regardless of whether you are able to deliver immediate value or not deliver immediate value, you have to invest, you have to fail, you have to work that muscle so that when it is time to actually take up something complex, you're not caught over there with absolutely no clue on how to go about doing. So I think that is one of the ways that we have been able to drive this down in teams.
Thanks, Rohit. So Nishant, how do you see about that?
Yeah, no, I agree with Rohit, but see, one approach that I follow, and I see some of the, so being in AI, and but if you look at my LinkedIn post, or when I don't talk about AI. I want AI to be adopted across the globe and in my organization. But the way I do it is I talk about use cases. So I go and sit with my say fund managers, with my equity research team, and I know that if I go and if I sell AI to the world, if I sell AI to my daughter or on LinkedIn, people will question me more, and if I want AI adoption, because I'm there in this industry, I definitely want everybody to move. But see, the real people, what I've realized, if you want to sell AI, don't talk about AI. Like, talk about the problems today in the world where your data is not democratized. Conversations are, without statistical, data. We talk about, say, market is down, but why it is down, no one talks about. Like, we don't talk about moving average. We talk about, so you uplift the conversation, say, within your organization, and go and understand the problems being faced, by your compliance team, your risk team, your marketing team, and then you break it down, and then you make them realize that if you had a chatbot, or if you had a dashboard, if you had some analytics, you could have done that. And I think that helps. And I find that the solutions for for different team and different people are different at different points of time. So if you talk to people, you realize that maybe a dashboard won't solve their problem. They are looking at, like, what do I do today? I know what has happened, but what action should I take? So for me to be happy, what do I do? So which means they need analytics. Now that you will know only when you go and realize that, what are the problems they are facing. And if you solve their problem by anything small, it could be a chatbot, it could be a dashboard, it could be some analytics, some recommendation, some nudge, then you have converted them. So that's the way I have been, slowly, converting, and it takes, person by person. Like, it will not happen like in a day. You'll have to work on every person in your organization, and you have to convert them. You have to work on every, contact of your LinkedIn, and you have to convert them, and slowly we can change the world.
Thank you, Nishant. So we are already just at our time. So just to summarize, so to foster a good collaboration across the teams, what emerged from this discussion: keep it simple, understand each other's pain, and try to adjust that what is others' requirement, make them understand your need, understand their requirement, and make a kind of adjustment between the two. And then that is the recipe to rise together and go forward in the AI transformation. With this, I would like to thank all eminent panel speakers from coming from different walks of technology. Some are in the marketing, some are in terms of fintech. So I thank them all for helping us understand that how teams can collaborate in the era of AI and data. Thanks a lot for listening to us and for wonderful audience.